Hello, you're listening to E-Bible Fellowship's new Open Forum Excerpts, and now we present the following excerpt.
Welcome to our Open Forum program. Please go ahead with your call.
Hi, Brother McCann. The heart is deceitful and desperately wicked. Who can know it? Jeremiah 17. But before you look it up, God tells us to do many things that we not capable of. And I'm not saying, of course, it's fair. God doesn't have to be fair, but it's fair, very fair. But not all of us are wicked. I don't understand that. Is it rebellion that even believers can't love God with all their heart, mind, soul, and strength? I've never seen anybody that could. We all have divided attentions. It's called divided attention. We're thinking about our job, our wife, or companion. Okay, Jeremiah 17, verses 9 and 10.
Okay, Jeremiah 17, verse 9. The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? I, Jehovah, search the heart. I try the reins, even to give every man according to his ways and according to the fruit of his doings. So the first verse, verse 9, is telling us of the condition of an unsaved sinner's heart. It is desperately wicked and deceitful above all things. So no matter what you can think is extremely deceitful, you can try and imagine the worst deceitful things possible, and man's sinful heart is more deceitful. It's above even the worst thing you can imagine. That is God's description, and He is the only one who knows. That's why He says, who can know it? Who can know it? Can we know our own heart? Well, if you ask people, and I'm not sure if it's ever been done, but more than likely, you could probably go to death row or prison that houses the worst possible criminals and ask them, are you a good person? I wouldn't be surprised if a large number of them said, yeah, I'm basically a good person. And, I'm just using them as an example because what people tend to do is think they're the desperately wicked ones, the ones on death row, the ones in prison, the ones who have done terrible crimes. And what God is saying, well, yeah, they're desperately wicked, but so are you. So are you, sinner. You have a desperately wicked heart, deceitful above all things. Who can know it? You don't know it. Man doesn't know it. No man knows it, knows his own heart. So God goes on to say, I, Jehovah, search the heart, meaning He knows it. All things are naked and open unto the eyes of Him with whom we have to do. God knows the heart, and no one can fool Him. No one can deceive Him. He knows everyone's actual spiritual condition. Now, as far as what God did with certain ones, with His people that He predestinated to salvation, He performed a heart transplant in the spiritual realm. It's not referring to our literal physical heart. It's referring to our heart, mind, soul, our synonyms in the Bible. So really it's our spirit nature that is desperately wicked, deceitful above all. And God tells us in Ezekiel 36, He describes this heart operation in verse 25. Then will I sprinkle clean water upon you, and ye shall be clean. From all your filthiness and from all your idols will I cleanse you. A new heart also will I give you, and a new spirit will I put within you, and I will take away the stony heart out of your flesh, and I will give you a heart of flesh, and I will put my spirit within you and cause you to walk in my statutes, and you shall keep my judgments and do them. Now, when God does this, or, we're living in a time when he has completed his salvation program, so he's already given new hearts to all he intended to do so. Anyone without a new heart, a new soul, at this point in time will never receive one, because God's salvation program has ended and he's already carried this out. But for the great multitude that the Lord saved out of the great tribulation, that are still alive on the earth, we have a new soul nature. We have a new spirit essence, a new heart within us, and this heart is perfect. As we read in 1 John 3, it says in verse 9, whosoever is born of God doth not commit sin, for his seed remaineth in him, and he cannot sin because he is born of God. We've heard being born again. So if you're born of God, that means God has performed that heart operation, given you a new heart and a new spirit, and it is perfect. It is holy and pure, and the new heart cannot sin in the life of a child of God. Well, are you saying we're without sin? Well, no, because also in 1 John, in chapter 1, it says in verse 8, if we say that we have no sin, we deceive ourselves and the truth is not in us. Same book of the Bible, a couple chapters apart. And God says in chapter 1, if you say you don't have sin, you're a liar. In chapter 3, if you're born again, you cannot sin. And people say the Bible's easy. No, the Bible's not easy. It's extremely complex. Yet the Spirit of God guides us into truth. And what we have to do, we have we have an apparent contradiction between these two verses. How do we solve it? Well, what is being born again? Which part of us became born again? Our soul, our heart, our mind, again, our spirit. We have a new spirit. And did our flesh become born again? Did our physical body become born again? No, not yet. That's God's intention. On the last day, with the resurrection and the rapture, he'll change our physical body into a new spiritual body. So it's then that the physical body is born again, but not in this world, not as we live on the earth. And there's the solution in our soul: perfection. Perfection. In our body, sin. And yet we're one personality, one person. It sounds like we have a split personality, but we're one personality. I don't know how that, God does it, but he's done it. And therefore, we sin, or I sin. I sin. I cannot say I'm without sin because I sin, but where does the sin generate from? Where does it really come from? The body, my members. This was the struggle of the Apostle Paul in Romans chapter 7. In the inward man, he tells us, he delights in the law of God. In Romans 7, in verse 22, for I delight in the law of God after the inward man. That would be in his spirit, in his soul. There's delight because there's that pure, holy perfection. But in verse 23, I see another law in my members, warring against the law of my mind. Heart, mind, soul, synonyms, spirit. Warring against the law of my spirit and bringing me into captivity to the law of sin, which is in my members. Members are the body, the physical, the flesh. And so, O wretched man that I am, who shall deliver me from the body of this death. I thank God through Jesus Christ our Lord. So then, with the mind, with the spirit, I myself serve the law of God. I cannot sin. So I serve the law of God perfectly in the spirit, but with the flesh, the law of sin.
Thanks for watching, and be on the lookout for more new Open Forum excerpts that will be added periodically.